Meteorologist Chris Schromick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
Convenience just got an upgrade. Farmers State Bank of Oakley is excited to announce the opening of our brand new ATM along Highway 40, right next to Sonic Drive-In. Whether you're grabbing a snack or on the go, you can quickly access your cash without the detour. It's banking made easy, right where you need it. Farmers State Bank of Oakley, member FDIC.
Need a porta potty or septic pumping in Northwest Kansas? Call Topside Portables and Pumping, your local family-owned crew. They've got clean, reliable toilets for weddings, farms, and job sites, plus full septic services, RV waste, fertilizer tanks, and more. Available 24/7, because when nature calls, they answer. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. Reliable, local, clean.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pestaway in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pestaway today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
Shift your career into high gear with Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. They're hiring a service and parts advisor and a lube tech, and they want you on their team. You'll get competitive pay, full-time hours, health insurance, a 401k, and plenty more benefits, all while working with the crew that keeps the tri-state area moving. So don't idle. Apply today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Your next career is waiting right there under the hood. As kids head back to school, it's the perfect time to get your home and yard ready for fall. At Hooper Lumber Ace Hardware in Colby and Goodland, they've got you covered. From all-season ultimate fertilizer and building materials to cozy patio heaters and furniture. Fire up family meals with a Traeger grill or Blackstone griddle, and give your home a new look with Benjamin Moore paints. Whatever your project, big or small, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware is here to help. That's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby. Your community, your projects, your ace.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland, and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
You ready? One, two, three, four!
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
If you want to win in football, it all starts up front. Mass kicks ass.
And Connor Schuh.
He's the new guy.
The High Plains only local sports talk show. Broadcasting live on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 and video streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
They're basically idiots.
Covering it all from the preps.
Up ahead to Blair Lennon. Lennon the crossover back to Cure. Hello, boom! A two-handed tomahawk flush.
To the pros.
Shotgun snap to Nix. Protection is good. Bold loads it up. He's got it. A receiver there. Franklin makes the catch in the end zone. Touchdown, Denver.
The Blitz is presented by Hurl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank. Along with
Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell, the Insurance Agency, Pestaway LLC, Topside Portables and Pumping, and the Farmer State Bank in Oakley.
Let's go to work.
Ground ball through the hole on the left side for a base hit. Goodman rounds third, heading home. Hernandez's throw is cut off. Jordan Beck delivers a two-out single, and the game is tied at 3.
The 1-1. Ground ball. Here comes the runner. Play at the plate. He slides in safe. The Red Sox win it. Eden scores.
Beginning. Frazier shoots it into the left field corner and deep and gone. Adam Frazier to the opposite field. And the Royals regain the lead in the 8th inning.
Manny hits it in the air to left field. Back goes Nimmo. Looking up. It's gone. Grand slam, Manny Machado. Man, oh, man, oh, Manny.
And good Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome inside the Morning Blitz, broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 1025, NWKSradio.net, and, of course, video streaming on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. So glad they could join us here on this Thursday, September 18th. A nice, cool 51 degrees to get the morning started after, at least here in Goodland, an interesting night. It was 10:45. I was getting nestled into bed, and all of a sudden a downpour happened. And I was like, my goodness, where did this come from? And it rained very, very hard, like so hard, at least at my house, that I was like, Shemini, like you could hear it through the roof, like that kind of rain, not the light stuff, the heavy, heavy stuff. But
any thunderstorms out there?
I mean, there was a few cracks of thunder, but it wasn't a lot. And like, I thought it was off in the distance. Like, I thought it was like further away, like looking at the radar. I thought it was going to be like further to the south is where this was all going to be happening. And all of a sudden, boom, here came all this water. It's like, Jiminy Christmas. So
jeez, it missed us in Colby.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah, I saw some people reported they got like just a bit of a sprinkle in Colby.
Yeah.
But I know over here, I've seen anywhere, geez, on the rainfall reports from Raleigh, I've seen anywhere from, maybe a quarter of an inch up to a half an inch. So, and I'm telling you, like,
it's no joke.
It came down hard for about a good 5 to 10 minutes. I mean, it was a true downpour. But hey, going to be a beautiful day today. Temperatures in the lower 70s today, expected to be the same tomorrow. Got ourselves a beautiful weekend on tap with temps in the 70s as well. So beautiful, beautiful weather on our way here through the midpoint of September. Anyway, got a big show ahead for you today. Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, going to stop by. Also, he's an AP voter, which that's actually more reasons I like to talk to Henry, because get his thoughts on his AP poll and where it was to begin the year and where it sits right now. He's watching a lot of college football, so Henry Greenstein will give us an update on that. We'll get to some thoughts on the Tom Brady situation and the new portal rules for college football. We'll touch on some local sports today. We got lots to get to. Colby Community College volleyball yesterday, real quickly. Last night with a win over Dodge City. Didn't start great, dropped their first set, I believe, of conference play. They lost 25-21 inside the event center, but rattled off 3 consecutive victories, 25-16, 25-23, 25-15 to get the win. 12-4, 4-0 remain perfect, though, in conference play for the Lady Trojans. So far, they've got another conference game coming up here Friday. Down in El Dorado against Butler. So quick update there. It is week number 3 of the NFL football season.
Week 3.
And so we've got to get into our NFL Power 5, which is where we get rolling this morning. All right. Any honorable mention games when it comes to the Power 5? I don't know. I struggle with this, but I picked one nonetheless.
Well, I didn't have one, but I'll just show love to the home team, my home team, the Cleveland Browns. We might get thrashed by the Packers this week, but I'll just throw them a bone here. I mean, maybe we tried out Dylan Gabriel in the second half of this game. I could just see it already. I don't think we're committing to Flacco, but it's gonna be fun to watch. Maybe the defense can make something happen, and it's a little close. That's a possibility.
Are you more excited to see Dylan Gabriel or Shadur Sanders at quarterback?
I was more pro Shadur coming into the preseason, but after seeing Gabriel in the preseason and then seeing Gabriel in limited reps last week, I think I'm a little more excited to see Gabriel.
Well, my honorable mention game is actually a hometown or a regional game. I got the Chiefs and the Giants as an honorable mention game. My gut says the Chiefs should take care of business here. At least that's my thought on this, is that they should take care of business. Their backs are squarely against the wall to start the season at 0-2. But I'm fascinated. Can they not get off the ground? Are they going to fall to 0-3? I mean, you fall to 0-3 after the run that the Kansas City Chiefs have been on. I mean, woof. Is all I can really say about that. So can the Chiefs get a win, or do they go 0-3? That's what fascinates me about the Chiefs at the Giants. The Giants have looked okay, but I don't consider them to be world beaters at this point in time. So
they put up yards last week.
They did.
That's for sure.
That Chiefs defense has been good. The offense has been the issue. Once again, lack of blocking for both running and passing. And yeah, they gotta find something. And hopefully Andy Reid's got some remedies in that big old brain of his to get things going in the right direction for the Chiefs. But I don't want your game, Chiefs at Giants. All right, let's dive on in.
The Power 5. Number 5.
What do you got for 5?
So at least, I don't know if you'd agree with me, but looking at this slate, there's a lot of games that kind of seem like there's a chalky pick for at least the winner. So I went with a divisional matchup here, the Colts and the Titans for my number 5. And I think it's a fun one because this is another chance for Daniel Jones to keep proving it with the Colts and be like, okay, they might be legit if they go 3-0 here and get a division win against the Titans, who have a solid defense and then have their own fun storyline on the offensive end. Cam Ward trying to figure it out with that just rough offensive line. It seems like he's just scurrying away at every turn and has to make just an incredible throw every time to even move the ball down the field. I don't know if you saw the play where he was almost fading away towards the near sideline, and he found his fellow rookie, Alec Iamaner, in the other side of the end zone. I mean, he threw totally across his body to get this guy. And
yeah, I saw that, yeah.
It probably should have been a pick because it's not a great decision, but the fact that he can make that throw on target like that is incredible, and that's why he was drafted number 1. And he's saying all the right things in the press conferences and just seems like a team guy. So I really, really want to root for him in the Titans, and I just want to see him succeed. And I think maybe this is the week where he starts to put it together a little bit and finds out how to work with a broken down offensive line more so. And I like his chemistry with Iamaner, the rookie receiver from Stanford. So that's why I'm interested in that game. So, yeah.
My number 5, I'm going Bengals at Vikings for number 5. I think this game fascinates me because it's a backup quarterback matchup. I don't think J.J. McCarthy is going to be able to go. He's hurt. And, of course, we know Joe Burrow's done for the next 3 months. Hello, Jake Browning, former Washington quarterback. And Browning, as they've said, man, I've seen this on television a lot here the last year. He'll throw it to the team, but he does throw touchdowns as well. So
3 picks last game.
So I guess my interesting thought is, okay, what do you got, Jake Browning? You're going to be the full-time starter now for pretty much this season, it seems like. You've got weapons on the outside. You've got good pieces around you. Can they find a way to can Zach Taylor? I said Jake Taylor. He's a catcher for the Indians. But Zach Taylor, can he put together a game plan to give his backup quarterback success? And the Vikings are going to have to go with the backup quarterback as well. So why not? It's a backup quarterback matchup. Why not in week number 3?
Do you know who their backup quarterback is by chance?
For Minnesota?
Yes.
Gosh, I don't know.
It's a fun one.
Is it
Carson Wentz?
Josh Dobbs?
Carson Wentz.
Oh, it's Wentz. Oh,
yes.
Where do you go? Wentz and Browning.
He's going to have a shot to revive something. I hope he plays well. I love Wentz.
Yeah, so we'll see. The game fascinates me for that reason. Backup quarterbacks in week 3 squaring off, and the Bengals have got a lot of talent, but now they don't have their main piece. And so how do they formulate a plan to try and find some success? So that's number 5 for me.
Number 4.
What do you got for 4?
I've got Texans and Jags here. So the other side of the coin for the AFC South matchup. And
he's got a love for the worst division in football.
I guess so. But obviously I'm a CJ Stroud guy coming from Ohio State, and him and Trevor Lawrence have kind of followed a similar career path, had their top season in their first couple of years. CJ Stroud, that was in his rookie year. Trevor Lawrence, that was in his second year. He really struggled as a rookie. But after that, for both of them, it's just been downhill. And they're still uber talented quarterbacks who can throw the football like not many others, but it just seems like there's been something off with both of them. With Lawrence, it's been a lot of injury trouble for him for the past couple of years, and Stroud, he just hasn't had a lot to work with aside from Nico Collins, who's been hurt a lot, and Tank Dell's pretty good, but he's here and there in terms of the injuries, and it's just been a struggle with him and those pieces, and it seems like their O-line's not really all that great. They're missing Joe Mixon, too. I mean, a lot of things are going wrong for the Texans right now, but CJ Stroud, it's really a prove-it year for him, and it would be good for him to get off on the right foot in a divisional game after really struggling against the Buccaneers. And on the other side, Trevor Lawrence, after the week he had last week where it seemed like he couldn't get on track with anybody, including his head coach, Liam Cohen. I mean, I don't know if you saw the clip where Cohen was like pumping his chest on the sideline and kind of telling Lawrence,
hit him in the chest or what? I thought it was a high pass. Like it was a high pass, like hit him in the chest.
I think it was because he missed Brian Thomas Jr. on like an open throw. And then Lawrence just like totally blew him off. At least that's what it looked like. He kind of just threw the hand out and was like, get out of here. And then I think he hit Thomas in the chest the next play, but he dropped it. So just it's tough stuff. But these are two teams that I think are a little more talented than what they've been showing off. And I think this will be a close game.
Probably could be a close game. I think that there's just so much untapped potential with the Jaguars. The question is, can people figure it out? That's the big thing.
Absolutely.
There's so much talent there. Someone's got to be able to crack that code at some point in time, but we'll see. My number 4, I'm going out west, NFC West. Battle for the top in the NFC West, the Cardinals and the 49ers. I don't know why. I've always had a soft spot for the Cardinals, even though they've been terrible. Maybe it's just because, I rooted for them in the Super Bowl against the Steelers many years back with Kurt Warner, and I still have an affinity for them for some reason. I don't know why.
Sad year.
But it wasn't great. But anyway, I mean, the Cardinals, I love Kyler Murray. I love watching him play quarterback. He's undersized. I talk about this all the time, but he's undersized, yet he finds ways to get in and out of trouble all the time. It's amazing. And he's a pretty good thrower of the football. So he fascinates me. The 49ers are going to be Brock Purdy still hanging in the balance. I mean, he didn't play last week. Will he play this week? Mac Jones did look really good, though, in a reserve role. I don't know. The Cardinals are like that team that nobody talks about, nobody cares about, they could care less about, but they're 2-0. And if they can get to 3-0, maybe people will start talking about them a little bit more, particularly if they beat the 49ers, which I think is a tough thing. I'm more fascinated on this game from the Cardinals' perspective. Are they taking that step from being the cellar dweller into that, the next tier up in the NFL?
Niners lost a lot of talent too.
Yeah, Niners did. And so there's a chance for them to do this if they can take care of the 49ers. We'll see. But yeah. The Cardinals did not rout the Steelers. I think the Steelers routed the Cardinals. I said it was. I don't know. I'm sorry. I had a text in from a listener, Bill, who said,
was that the game where I thought that was the game where they had the game-winning catch on the sideline.
It was. Yeah. It was Steelers won it. Steelers won. I was rooting for the Cardinals in that game, but no, that was a Steelers win, by no doubt about that. Like I said, I don't know where my affinity for the Cardinals comes from. I don't know why, but it's somewhere in there. All right, let's move on to number 3.
Number 3.
So we're taking a look at a little out-of-division matchup for once here. We've got the Rams at the Eagles. That is a rematch of the divisional round last year in the NFC, and that game was a little closer than maybe some would think. The Eagles blowing out the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, maybe you would have thought they just routed everybody on their way to that. But it was a 28-22 game. And their teams have, I'd say, similar makeups this year. But for the Rams, it's Cooper Kupp out, Devontae Adams in, and it seems like his chemistry with Matthew Stafford has been pretty great over the first couple of weeks. And they really did it last week. It seemed like they were running on all cylinders against the Titans. And it's going to be fun to see those two get tested, of course, with Puka as well, against a really, really good Eagles defense that, of course, did all that to the Chiefs last week. And did kind of struggle at times against the Cowboys in week 1, like we talked about a while back. But I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And it's a question of, can the Eagles start putting up some yards against a Rams team that always seems to have at least a decent defense? But I was looking at the stats last night, and the Eagles actually, I'll pose this as a question to you. How many total yards do you think the Eagles have gained on offense this year?
It's not much because the Chiefs held them down. I'm going to guess 450.
Okay, that's low. It's 518, but still, you're in the ballpark.
I'm not that far off. I'm only 75 yards off. I don't know bad. I'm within 100.
That's true, but man, 450 would be, whew. I mean, 518 is not great either.
Well, they didn't do great against the Cowboys. They struggled there, and then against the Chiefs, they didn't do much either.
No, but it's been winning the turnover battle for them and getting good field position, and hey,
it's the best part about football, man. You can do it in multiple ways. It's
exactly.
fun.
But I think that's going to be a fun opportunity for maybe Hurts and the Eagles to show off a little bit more of that passing offense, because Jalen Hurts is a much more talented passer than he's shown in these first couple of weeks. I mean, he's had the opportunity to kind of just ground and pound with him and Saquon, and I think Hurts has 3 rushing touchdowns already, so he hasn't really needed to use his arm as much, but I'd like to see him work the outsides with his very talented 2 receiver combo in Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. And when those 3 are clicking, I think that's when they're at their best, when they can mix that with the run. And I think that's going to be the goal of that game. And if they do that, I think it's going to be a close one, but I take the Eagles late in it. Regardless, I think that's a very fun matchup.
Yeah, I have that game higher up on my list. My number 3 is the Broncos at the Chargers here in the NFL Power 5 in Week 3. Denver could be 2-0 if they didn't get a penalty called against them. They would be 2-0. The Chargers have looked great through 2 games. I mean, when they have the best coach in all of football, the last 25 years. So, what do you expect? But the Chargers have looked amazing. And here's the thing. So I want to know, once again, can Denver rebound? That defense has looked a little leaky against Indianapolis. They're going to face an offense that seems to have its footing. By the way, shout out Keenan Allen. That guy was lost on the Bears. He goes back to the Chargers, and he just looks like he never left.
That's
amazing. But the Chargers have looked really good on both sides of the ball. Denver is struggling on offense, but defensively, you think it's going to be this. Did you know Bo Nix is the worst-ranked quarterback in the NFL according to Pro Football Focus? He's number 32.
Well, I think a lot of that comes off that first game he had.
Yeah, I mean,
he was
turnovers
rough.
are a problem. So
yes,
Bo Nix is, if Denver's going to have any shot at doing what they think they could do, they've got to get him right. And I don't know if that's going to happen this week against the Chargers, but I'm interested to see the Denver defense against the Charger offense and Justin Herbert, because those are 2 strengths of those 2 teams. Which one wins that battle? Number 3, Broncos at Chargers for me. All right, on to the deuce.
Number 2.
The more and more I look at my rankings, I think I want a do-over.
I want a do-over. Are you saying I'm a good salesman, or are you saying they're not in the right order?
I because my number 1 is, spoiler, Broncos Chargers, and I kind of want to bring it back down. But I think now that I'm looking at these 2 games, my big argument for that one was the divisional matchup and how those
it's huge, yeah,
could be at the
sure.
top. So I'll just throw out my thoughts for that one now, since you just talked about it, and I think you have inadvertently talked me out of that as my number 1. So Broncos Chargers, very important for divisional positioning. I mean, the Chargers already have wins against the Raiders and the Chiefs, so why not get one against the other team in your division in Week 3 and already get a win against every single team? That would be just one heck of a start to the season for a Chargers team who's always been pretty good with Herbert, but never been able to really get over the hump in the playoffs. So it would be great for them to prove it early on against divisional opponents who are generally pretty good. I still think the Raiders are better than people are saying, even after that performance last week. And the Chiefs are obviously still the Chiefs, even though they're 0-2. But now it's beating the Broncos. And obviously there's a lot of questions with Bo Nix as the quarterback this year. As you said earlier, he's been struggling, especially in that first game. And can he do it against a good Chargers defense who's 3rd in scoring this year? I think they've only allowed like 16 points per game or something like that. But regardless, the Chargers, they play well in every facet of the game. Justin Herbert is Justin Herbert. And I'm excited to see if he can do it against a Broncos defense that was pretty highly touted coming into the year, but as some have mentioned, is still missing Dre Greenlaw, their best linebacker, probably by far. And we'll see if he can dice him up, because they've probably been, if you had to grade them, the Broncos defense, maybe you'd give them a C so far this season. I don't know if that's fair or not, but yeah.
Let's move on here to, we got to keep moving on. We got to get to Henry Greenstein. My number 2 is actually Rams at Lions. Once again, this is a possible NFC title game in the future. It could be. That Rams defense is really, really good. And you're right. Not Rams at Lions. Rams at Eagles, right? Rams at Eagles.
Yep.
Sorry, I wrote that down wrong. My apologies in my notes. Wrong. Change it. Eagles. Better. Eagles. But Rams at Eagles. Possible NFC title game. Like you said, the Eagles offense has struggled. They're going to go against another really good young defense in the Rams. Matthew Stafford, I feel like, is just a bad sack away from not being there. And here's Stetson Bennett, and he has to lead this team. But if everyone can stay healthy for the Rams and can perform up to levels, this is a really good football team. I just don't know if they can do it for the entire season. And the Eagles, I still think are, if not the best, one of the best teams in the NFC at this point in time. So one of a battle of a few of the top teams in the NFC, a possible NFC title game at number 2. Number 1 to me seems pretty obvious. I don't know why you didn't pick number 1. I got to ask, why was this game not at number 1?
I was riding hard on the Broncos-Chargers divisional thing and the Chargers potentially being able to, get that early huge leg up. And that's still a pretty good matchup. I think that's going to be a close game.
I'm not saying it's not. I mean, it made my top 5. I'm not going to lie. But I got to know why Lions and Ravens is not number 1.
I don't really know. I think it's just a little bit of it might be a little saltiness from the Ravens thrashing the Browns last week that just didn't materialize in my head, but it's deep down somewhere. I'm like, I just can't put them number 1 just because I hate the Ravens. But that is my number 1 at the end of the day. Lions, Ravens, that might be a Super Bowl preview.
Yeah, that's what I said. Could be the Super Bowl game. It could be. It's no doubt the best game of the week on Monday Night Football. It is the best.
I mean, the Lions got to get through, I think, still the Chiefs whoa. Hold on. I'm getting my conferences mixed up. Excuse me for that one, but
Lions got to get through the Eagles.
They have to get through the Eagles. They probably got to get through the Packers too. At this point. I mean, just with that week 1 game, but the Lions, obviously they just absolutely put the beat down on the Bears last week, but now can they do it against a great team like the Ravens? And the Ravens are probably trying to do the same thing.
I know. That's what makes this game great.
Yeah, because they had the huge blow up in week 1 against the Bills, and then they thrashed the Browns, who unfortunately are just sorry this year. But it's 2 teams that are really, really good, that are trying to get their first big win of the year. And also, a little side note, Derrick Henry trying to bounce back after only 20 yards last week, so I'm sure they'll try to get him involved a little bit more.
I was so floored how bad the Lions looked in week 1 against the Packers. Now, I know the Packers looked really good, but that was not the Lions team that I think. I mean, I predicted the Lions to go to the Super Bowl this year. I think the Lions are that good of a football team. If they can play to the level they did against the Bears on a consistent level, they are going to be very difficult to stop. It's going to be very hard, including the Ravens. And this is a big-time game. And what does Lamar Jackson struggle with? Big-time games. So this is interesting to me. This game has got – I'm happy for Monday Night Football because I feel like during the regular season, throughout the middle portion, they get a lot of dumpers. It's always Sunday Night Football that gets the big game. So I'm happy for Joe Buck and Troy Aikman that they get to have a big-time game on Monday Night Football.
Joe Buck's awesome, too. He deserves it.
There you go. Our NFL Power 5, week number 3 in the NFL. Overall, I don't think it's a great slate of games. Personally, It's not great. But there is a great one. And one, obviously one, even though Connor disagrees and thinks Broncos Chargers is number 1. But I think it's
playing to the crowd.
Yeah, apparently you are. Pandering. We call pandering over here. But yeah, Lions at Ravens, no doubt the best game of the week. Tonight, by the way, Thursday Night Football, Dolphins, Bills. Jeez. What is the spread on that before we get to the break? It is 11.5. Oh my gosh. It's 2 touchdowns.
Yikes. They might cover.
Dolphins are terrible. Man, they're bad. So bad. See you, Mike McDaniel. All right, we're off to a break. We'll be back. Henry Greenstein, our good friend from KUSports.com. He's also an AP voter for the Lawrence Journal World. We'll talk with him next. You're listening to Morning Blitz.
Shift your career into high gear with Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. They're hiring a service and parts advisor and a lube tech, and they want you on their team. You'll get competitive pay, full-time hours, health insurance, a 401k, and plenty more benefits, all while working with the crew that keeps the tri-state area moving. So don't idle. Apply today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Your next career is waiting right there under the hood.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning, Jared Law with the Andersons, Neverland Park, Kansas, with your morning market update. It's Thursday, September 18th, in the overnight session. December corn down 3/4 at 4.26. March down a quarter, 4.44 1/4. May down a quarter at 4.54. December down 3/4 at 4.64 3/4. Soybeans on the November down 2.5, 10.41 1/4. Jan down 2 1/4 at 10.60 3/4. March down 2.5, 10.75 1/2. KC wheat on the December down 1/2 cent, 5.15 3/4. March down a quarter, 5.37 1/2. July down up a quarter at 5.64 1/2. Chicago wheat up 1.5, 5.29 3/4. Feeder cattle finished yesterday 355.02 1/2. Live cattle 231.10. Lean hogs 97.32 1/2. Crude oil futures up 27 cents a barrel at 64.32. Gold futures down 14.40 an ounce, 3,667.40. Silver down 2 cents at 41.70. Dow futures up 6, 46,027. S&P futures up 46,640. U.S. dollar index up 31 points at 96.83. You need to move any cash green or want to talk about risk management, you can reach out to myself, Jared Law, Tom Suter, or Tyler Grosh at 913-748-3000. If you're out in Colorado, you can reach out to John Hinkie or John Stiles at 970-744-4484.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
At Hogemeyer, our pride is homegrown. We are right here to serve these families and fields. Right here to fight through storms and surprises. Right here with smarter agronomics, better yield performance, and world-class corn and soybean products, backed by Corteva Agriscience. We'll always be loyal and local, so you, our neighbor, always get the right seed. Learn more at golocal.therightseed.com.
System. Plus, receive up to $2,600 in federal tax credits. Plainsheating.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details.
Sports talk that's fast, fresh, and always on point.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
This is the Morning Blitz.
All right, 7:38 Mountain, 8:38 Central Time here on a Thursday morning. Glad you could join us on the Morning Blitz. We will be getting to some other news, including some thoughts on the NCAA portal rule changes and Tom Brady with the stories of that. We'll get to some local. There's a little bit of local sports today as well. We'll get to all that coming up here in a little bit in our final segment. We welcome into the program Henry Greenstein, our good friend from KUSports.com, the Lawrence Journal World, joins us on the Hoover Lumber Hardware Hotline. Good morning, Henry. How are we doing today?
Good morning. I'm doing just fine. It's a gloomy day in Lawrence with the rain, but I'm excited that Big 12 football is almost underway. It's one of my favorite times of the year.
Well, Henry, as he got on the phone with me, usually Henry just says good morning and all that stuff, but he has got some breaking news, it sounds like. So, can he give us the? Let's go to Henry Greenstein out in the field. Henry, put the report. Please go ahead, Henry.
I wish I were the one breaking it, but it's a report from Scott Hamilton of the Post and Courier, which is the paper in Charleston, South Carolina this morning, that KU and Arizona State are going to play at Wembley Stadium in London next September 19th, which is pretty crazy. I look forward to spending some of this morning confirming the Post and Courier's report. But, I mean, if true, that's pretty momentous. I don't know about college football ever having been played in England before. I'd have to look back at some of the history there. Obviously, right now we're seeing the effects of a team playing in Ireland at the start of the season a little bit with K-State. But, you know, this is Brett Yormark's kind of thing. He likes to take these big swings and see what happens with them, and can't wait to learn more about it in the hours ahead.
And you'll be in jolly old London there, Henry. That'll be fun for you. That'll be a good time walking around there. I got it. In your just initial thoughts, if this is confirmed true, I mean, how does this benefit Kansas, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, I guess the number one thing is brand exposure. Like, you get to play a big marquee game. I'm sure they'll have the ESPN pregame shows on site and stuff like they did for K-State and Iowa State. You get to reach new fans. Sometimes you get to have your own unique time slot. And, you know, like next year, I believe this would have been a KU home game against Arizona State. Next year, like, they'll be playing at reduced capacity. So, like, if they were going to lose one at any point, I guess this is when you would want to do it. And just for those who don't know, the reason why reduced capacity is because they'll be working on the second phase of the stadium project, the one that concerns itself with the east side. So, I don't know. It's kind of a thing where maybe you have less to lose than you do in a year where the stadium is fully functional. But I really do think it comes down to brand exposure and just getting KU football on a big stage and in front of some people who don't usually see it.
Henry Greenstein, our guest, KU Jayhawk reporter for the for KUSports.com. Henry, and you're of course an AP voter, which is really a big reason why I wanted to have you on today, because I tell you, it's been an interesting first couple weeks of the college football season. We're at the quarterway point here on week number 4. I'm kind of curious, you know, as you followed this season as an AP voter, what has really stood out to you amongst the changes? What has gone the way you haven't thought it has, and maybe what has gone the way you thought it might have?
That's a great question. This has been a really challenging first few polls, and you can see that people who have slipped up in their voting have been destroyed on social media as a result. But it's been a tough one. I think it's been hard to assess the hierarchy of teams in the SEC from their non-conference schedules. It feels like the difficulty of games they're playing has been so dramatically different. And then just when you think South Carolina is looking like maybe a top 10 team, they go out and get killed by Vanderbilt. Then you got to rank Vanderbilt, and next thing we know, next week Vanderbilt could go out and lose. I think that the I guess parity in the SEC, a league not necessarily known for it, seems stronger than usual, especially with Alabama being closer to the middle of the pack. Other things, I don't know. There have been some teams that have kind of seemed like mirages. I mean, I just thought about South Carolina, but you know, South Florida goes out and gets these 2 big ranked wins, and everyone's having them soar through the ranks, and then they get absolutely obliterated by Miami. And then, like, what do you do with them? It's tough to tell. The number one biggest thing that I think annoys people about my poll, and that I get yelled at the most, is that I don't always move a team out of the rankings when they lose and move the team that beat them into the rankings. I am currently the only person who still has SMU in their top 25, and I've gotten a lot of criticism for that. And there have been other similar instances where, you know, the big thing this week is, why do people still have Notre Dame ranked? They lost 2 games by 4 points to 2 of the best teams in the country. I understand they lost, but I don't think people can seriously say with a straight face that Notre Dame is not one of the top 25 best teams in the country. So, you know, there's a fundamental arbitrariness to this task that we all take on. But man, this year it has been really intriguing. I'm interested to know, though, what you've been particularly intrigued by in terms of seeing the AP polls this year.
It really, well, first and foremost, like you talked about right out of the gate was the fall of Kansas State, from being, a team that was in the top 25 to completely falling out. And, it's Clemson, I think was a national championship pick and favorite for a lot of teams. They have 2 losses. They've dropped down a little bit. Not that they're completely out of the mix. They could go on a run, I think, but it's just been this is, once again, it kind of goes back to that conversation we had weeks ago, Henry, where we talked about, it'd be just interesting to see if maybe we didn't release the first AP poll. No one talked about polls until right now, because we actually have an idea of where teams stand and how different that would actually change the playoff picture for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, anchor bias, as it's called, is a fundamental statistical concept. Like, there's no denying that having a preseason poll in some way influences where people will end up. And so that's why, even though I think it's silly, I'm not mad at the Big 12 for getting rid of their own preseason poll. But it's true. Like, a team that starts out of the rankings completely will find it more difficult to ascend than one that is number 1 at the beginning of the year. And that's just how it is. And those who start out highly ranked will have a more forgiving result. Now, granted, in many cases, the forgiveness is because we still think they're good, even if they lost a couple of games. Like, it's not just arbitrary. But, yeah, resisting anchor bias is a different thing to do, a difficult thing to do as a voter. And I try my best not to be too attached. I think I've been more drastic in my movements of teams this year, which is now my second year doing it. Even then, though, you never know if you're, like, relying too much on your priors, as they would say in physical concepts, or your preconceived notions. So one has to adjust from week to week, and not just in terms of where you put teams, but in terms of how you think of those teams in your mind. So it's challenging.
Henry, how's it going? I'm Connor Schuh, Ross's new co-host.
Hey, Connor. Good to hear from you.
Good to meet you, man. So I want to ask you about your process when you're making your AP ballot, because I feel like you hear from every voter that they have some different way of coming up with their top 25. But for you, what goes into making that list?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. So I basically, I mean, it's really simple. I mean, the process begins during the week and during the day, where I try to just get as many minutes of college football into my brain as possible, which is often difficult, especially when KU plays an afternoon game, because if the Jayhawks are playing in the afternoon, I basically get there a little bit before noon. I'm at the stadium for several hours. The game goes on for 3.5 hours. I'm writing stuff for another 2.5 hours after that, and suddenly, like, at that point, it's like 8 p.m. and I can barely get the very end of whatever games may still be going on. But try my best to be as educated as possible and not just relying on box scores. Then I go into all the box scores of things I missed. I try to, like, compare my previous poll as well as the consensus. I don't like to shift things too much based on how other people have been doing them, which usually results in me committing the same perceived crimes week after week. If you're, say, a Tennessee fan who thinks I ranked them too low one week, I'm not going to move them up 10 spots just because other people have them up there the next week. But when it comes time to finally sit down and actually adjust the poll, I bring up the ESPN score list. I go through and, from top to bottom, make sure I know every single result of every team that could potentially be included, not just the ones in my top 25, but the ones on the fringe. And then try to assess, like, what's a fair movement for each individual team based on what happened. I guess there have been some weeks where the first thing I do is cross out any teams that I want to eliminate, like teams at the fringe that lost, or teams that were maybe in the middle of the rankings but had a really humiliating loss that I want to take out anyway. But ultimately, my first task is to determine an appropriate movement. And I do that based on the strength of victory and the strength of schedule and the teams they were playing against. And then I end up with sort of like a top 23 usually after that. And then in order to pick the final 2 teams, I usually go with the top 2 teams that were unranked that I didn't have And often that's frankly not too difficult to do because it's usually the teams that other people ranked and I didn't. So like Utah, for instance, will be probably one of those next week because I think I've been too low on them. Now, granted, I didn't necessarily rush to put them in the rankings because UCLA turned out to be terrible and that was their highest quality win. But yeah, it's a pretty methodical way of kind of going down the list every week and ensuring that I give every team like a fair movement based on how it did. It's really not all that complicated. The complicated part is just being educated enough about what you're seeing to look beyond the final score and have a sense of like the strength of any given victory. Like there can be situations where a team totally dominates another one and then the final result ends up being by 7 points, or something like KU Missouri, where there's a huge statistical disparity and Missouri ends up winning by 2 possessions, but KU could still have done it in the fourth quarter. So got to really comb through each game to make sure you have a full understanding of what happened and the pace and exactly how it turned out. But yeah, all that is a long-winded way to say it's basically just once everything is over at 1 a.m. or whatever, going into my poll and making sure that I give each team like the fair shake as it deserves.
Henry Greenstein, our guest here, joining us on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. Before we let you go, I want to get your thoughts. It's 3 weeks in. There's been a bye for KU. Got West Virginia this weekend. I mean, when you look at these first 3 weeks and how it's gone and how things feel going into the Big 12 opener against West Virginia, I mean, where do you kind of sit with this KU football team?
Well, I guess the first thing that comes to mind is that Lance Leipold's been really good off bye weeks. He's won the last 4 games off bye weeks, and 3 of those were against ranked opponents. So I think KU having a bye heading into its conference opener, a big game, a blackout at the booth, a team that's played them close in recent years, this is pretty ideal, and it will help KU flush whatever negatives are still left lingering from that Missouri loss. But in terms of the team overall, I'd say my opinion of them has really not changed much from the beginning of the year. I thought they would be solid and flawed, and they've been solid and flawed. I think Jalen Daniels is playing at a very high level. You know, we still see him try to force the ball a little bit in desperate situations, and he doesn't look quite as composed when he has to run like a 2-minute drill. I'm still waiting to see Daniels kind of deliver in the clutch at certain points, but he looks like a top quality quarterback in the Big 12. The wide receivers are as good as we thought they would be when they assembled them in the offseason. The defensive line is a strength, just as expected. The linebackers have dramatically exceeded expectations. The cornerbacks are playing above their age, I would say, for a pretty young unit. But on the other hand, offensive line has some questions. Back of the secondary, like safety, has some questions. And I guess the biggest thing is no one really expected the running game to be as terrible as it was against Missouri. So that's the thing I really want to see on Saturday, is a big bounce back performance for Daniel Highshaw and Leishon Williams. Better vision, better patience, and better holes opened up for them by the tackles, and the offensive line as a whole would go a long way, especially because West Virginia got a pretty solid defensive front Rich Rod put together. So on the whole, I don't think my overall impression of this team has changed. I still think they're a bold team that will not be in the top few in the Big 12, but will have a fighting chance.
He once again is Henry Greenstein of KUSports.com, Lawrence Journal World, also an AP poll voter. Henry, it's always great to catch up, my friend. Look forward to doing it soon, all right?
All right. Thank you very much.
Once again, great stuff there from Henry Greenstein. Love that guy. Gosh, he's got great stuff. Great information. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back. We'll wrap up the show with our final segment next. This is the Morning Blitz.
You can't control cattle prices any more than you can control the weather. But you don't have to be a commodities expert to protect yourself against an unpredictable livestock market. Contact me, Caleb Morris at Farm Credit of Western Kansas, about a livestock policy to help protect you from declining market prices. Work with agents who work for you. Contact our office at 785-462-6714. Farm Credit of Western Kansas is an equal opportunity provider.
Shift your career into high gear with Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. They're hiring a service and parts advisor and a lube tech, and they want you on their team. You'll get competitive pay, full-time hours, health insurance, a 401k, and plenty more benefits, all while working with the crew that keeps the tri-state area moving. So don't idle. Apply today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Your next career is waiting right there under the hood.
The Burlington Home Store has a yard work center. They're your garden center, everything you need. Home construction and repair, plus a great line of cleaning supplies and appliances for your home. Burlington Home Store, your full-service lumber yard. You'll need hand and power tools, too. They've got them. By your windows, storm doors, screens, maybe even a barbecue grill. All at your Burlington Home Store, West Burlington. And the staff knows how to help you. And they will, too, at the Burlington Home Store.
Roof's worn out, and it needs replaced. Who you gonna call?
Roof Masters!
Roof Masters Roofing in Colby has been your premier roofing contractor for over 40 years, offering free estimates on all types of roofs, as well as seamless rain gutters and vinyl siding. So give us a call today. What's that number, Jake?
462-6642. I think you better call
Roof Masters!
It's game time.
What time is it? Game time!
You're listening to the Morning Blitz.
Thank you again to Henry Greenstein. That guy's got a lot of great information. He texts me, goes, I apologize for rambling because the news of London just got to me, which, by the way, if you missed his early conversation, there's apparently rumors that Kansas football will play Arizona State at Wembley Stadium in London. College football is going international, apparently. Once again, I'd be very hesitant after watching Kansas State, what happened there, knowing what happened in Nebraska over there. The season's just, tough. But anyway, glad that you are with us here on the Morning Blitz. We have got a few more things to get to here before we get out of here today. Real quickly, there is some volleyball action today. You got Colby High School hosting a triangular with Hoxie and McCook. And then there is some cross-country day. Decatur Community going to McCook for an invite. That might be a really sluggy mess after all the rain that McCook got. I don't know if they're going to have that or not. And then Waukene Trigo has an cross-country invitational day, which is where a lot of our area teams are going, including Goodland, Oakley, Hoxie, Colby, St. Francis, Quinter. But speaking of which, Quinter, by the way, I saw this, that they have 3 guys in their classification. They have 3 guys in the top 6 of times in the state in their classification. So 3 guys in the top 6. So that's pretty darn good. Baseball, Royals they snap the 10-game win streak of the Mariners, 7-5. Adam Frazier, a 2-run blast ace, put the Royals ahead for good. Salvador Perez got off to a great start with a 3-run shot. And Carlos Estevez, his 40th save. He leads Major League Baseball. That was a heck of a pickup there by the Royals. That series concludes this afternoon on Evan 790 KXXX. And the Rockies, 111th game of the season of a loss. 8-4 loss to Miami. So we'll see. They need 3 more victories. You said 111. You said 118, 119.
I said 119. You said
118. That's right. Yeah. So we're seeing. It's gonna be tight, boys. It's
scared.
Gonna be tight. Real quick before we get to the walk-off, there's been a couple storylines, and I'll let Connor kind of take the wheel here. But I asked Connor, what would you feel more interested in talking to about the Tom Brady situation, which is where Tom Brady, of course, is the lead analyst for Fox, but he was seen at the Monday Night Football game for the Raiders in the coach's booth with headsets on, which has got a really weird look, I will not lie, or the college football new transfer portal window. There's only one now. It's right in the middle of the playoff, January 2nd through the 11th, I think is when it is.
Yes.
Like a 10-day window there. So it's very, it doesn't bode well for teams that are in the playoff, but for everybody else, it's good. I'm just kind of curious your quick thoughts on those.
First, on the Brady thing, which is, I think that was what I wanted to talk about the most, especially just having the broadcaster mindset. It's like, I get that Brady's an owner of the Raiders, but it's ridiculous.
Minority owner, but yes.
Yeah, but it's ridiculous that he's able to be in on these very secretive things where you see the full process and you're able to not only be in the ear of these coaches, and then you're going into interviews with players and coaches for other teams in preparation. And that kind of breaches trust, I feel like, a little bit, because at that point it's like, okay, are you telling the Raiders coaches the things these other teams are saying in their interviews, and maybe these teams and coaches aren't going to say as much to you to give you prep for your game? broadcast, and it's just, I don't know, it's really messy, and I just don't think as a broadcaster you should be given that type of access that an owner or a minority owner, someone within the team, which it feels like that's essentially what he is. He is an entity of the Raiders at this point, should get. So conflict of interest, I think. That's flag on the play.
I would agree. I think it's an icky thing. It doesn't look great. I mean, you're in there with other teams, other coaches, other players getting insider information. Now, I will say the opposition. Now, here's the thing that Tom's going to probably learn is that if Tom goes to these meetings with the other teams, they're going to probably learn that they're not going to tell him very much because they're like, we've seen you, so we're not going to tell that much. Now, I also see from the other side of the coin where Tom Brady has got a lot of experience. He's considered one of the best football players of all time. And just by playing the game at the level that he did, he understands a lot of stuff, both offensively and defensively. So does he really need that insider information? No. There's the guys that go there and they're telling all the information based upon the interviews with, like, here's the thing. Play-by-play guys need that information with the coaches and things like that, probably a little bit more so that they can help lead the story. Whereas the color analyst, he might not need it as much because he is breaking down the game as it is and why this is happening. Now, it helps to have the coaches' opinions on that, but you can break down the game without really speaking to that stuff. So I still think, though, it's an icky look, and I don't exactly like it. It's an odd look, but I'm also not surprised that Tom Brady would do this. It seems like something Tom would do.
Yeah, and it sucks because I was slowly becoming a Brady, I don't know about fan, but more of a respecter.
Liking him more on the broadcast?
No, when he was with the Buccaneers, actually. I took a liking to him, and then less so when he got the broadcast because I really liked Greg Olson. And
he is good. Greg is still good. Yeah. All right, we're up against the clock. We got to get the walk-off.
And back lifts his ball deep to right. How about a walk-off Brady? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes flings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
What are you watching tonight? Thursday night football, Bills and Dolphins, or Charlotte Rice in college football?
God. That's a great question. I think I'm going to watch the Guardians game and then watch bits and pieces. And I'll probably watch the Thursday night football game over Rice and Charlotte, but I'll tune in a little bit. I like a little, Rice is in the American right now? I think Charlotte's also in the American.
I don't even know, but I think Rice, if I'm not mistaken, I think Rice went to the triple option, I think, on offense.
They did.
And that's worth, to me, tuning in and watching. I'm all for more triple option. So give me Rice. I don't know. We'll see. I'll certainly turn on the Thursday night football game and watch some of it, but I might have the tablet up or the second screen up on Rice.
Dual screen?
Yeah, dual screening that a little bit. So, all right, that does it for our program today. Thanks to you for listening. Thanks to Henry Greenstein. We're back again tomorrow on a Football Fun Friday. We'll see you then in 23 hours. It's been the Blitz.
Classic rock plays here.